We've now gone over what are arguably the best builds in the game for both the Hunters and Warlocks, so now it's time to show love to all of our Titan mains out there with what could be argued to be the 3 strongest builds in the game for that class. Before we hop into the builds though, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated as it helps me out a ton and is free and simple to do. Now let's get into it. For Titans here, we're going to start off on the Void subclass, pairing that with the Heart of Inmost Light exotic chess piece. This exotic saw a nerf at the launch of Lightfall, but with the changes to our build crafting system, this build is still incredible. If you are unsure of what Hoyle actually does, here's the exotic perk, Overflowing Light. Use any of your 3 abilities and empower the other 2, which means they have a faster regen, melees and grenades deal more damage, while barricades have more hit points. Our subclass is going to start with the Bubble for the super, the barricade of your choice, and then Shield Throw and Vortex Nades. Honestly, the grenade and melee choice can be swapped out if you'd like. These are what I just think are the best for this build. Offensive Bulwark to get faster grenade recharge while having an overshield, or being inside your bubble, while also giving you increased melee range and damage, plus extending the duration of your overshield while you have one when you get a melee kill. Controlled Demolition is the second aspect. Hitting a target with a Void ability or Volatile Explosion makes them volatile. Damaging a volatile target more will make them explode and grants you and nearby allies health when a volatile target explodes near you. Moving on to the fragments, we have the Echo of Cessation to start, mainly to create void breaches from defeating volatile targets. Echo of Starvation is next, so we can gain Devour from picking up either an orb or a void breach. Following that is Echo of Remnants to increase the duration of our Vortex Nades. Finally, we are using Echo of Persistence to increase the duration of our void buffs. When you are looking to build this stat-wise, go for Resilience, Discipline, and then Recovery. For the artifact perks, go ahead and grab Authorized Mods Void, Grenades, then Shatter Orbs, Volatile Flow, and then you could also grab Bricks from Beyond as well as Void Weapon Channeling. When it comes to weapons for this build, you definitely want to bring along some Void weapons, and Wave Splitter is a great one to bring along. You could also bring in a Void weapon with Repulsor Brace so we can chain overshields on top of the other buffs. Harsh Language and Unforgiven are 2 great weapons that get Repulsor Brace on it. For kinetics, either an Osmosis weapon or anything else of your choice would work here. Likewise for the heavy slot. When it comes to the armor mods in this build, here's what we have. On the helmet, we have 2 Ashes to Asset, as well as a Siphon mod so we can get super energy from grenade kills and generate orbs. The gauntlets will have an Impact Induction, Firepower, and Bolstering Detonation. These will help us with regenerating our abilities and creating more orbs. The chest piece is going to have a Charged Up as well as a Resistance or Reserve mod. On the boots, we are going to have an Innervation as well as 2 Void Weapon Surges. Finally, on the class item, we have 2 Bombers and a Reaper to round out the build. Our second build on the list is going to be one of my absolute favorite builds in the game right now, Strand Titan, utilizing the new Abeyant Leap exotic boots. These boots enhance one of the Strand Titan aspects, Dranger's Lash, allowing it to spawn 2 additional projectiles, tracks targets more aggressively, and then travels further. It also gives you Woven Mail when you suspend targets. This is essentially a free 60% damage resistance buff simply for suspending targets. In our subclass, we're going with any barricade of your choice and then Shackle Grenades to build more into Suspend. Our first aspect, Into the Fray, gives you and nearby allies Woven Mail when you destroy a Tangle or cast your super, while also giving you increased melee regen when you have Woven Mail. Dranger's Lash is the second aspect, which sends out a ripple of your barricade when you cast it and suspends and damages targets it hits. For our aspects, we have the Thread of Mind to start, which grants class ability energy from defeating suspended targets. Thread of Fury will follow, which grants melee energy when you damage a target with a Tangle. Thread of Transmutation is third, which allows you to create a Tangle after a weapon final blow while you have Woven Mail. Finally, we have the Thread of Generation to follow, to allow us to generate grenade energy from dealing damage. Moving over to stat recommendations, I would build into Resilience, Discipline, as well as Recovery again. In the artifact, make sure to grab Authorized Mods Grenades, Multi-Siphon Mods, Shatter Orbs, Volatile Flow if you plan on using Void Weapons, and then if you want to utilize Strand Weapons, grab the Untangler, Allied Unraveling, and then Threaded Blast perks. When it comes to selecting weapons, if you want to utilize Void and Strand weapons to build alongside artifact mods, then things like the Immortal SMG or Perpetualis auto rifle are great Strand weapon choices. And then you have things like Wave Splitter, Harsh Language, or even Null Composure for great Void weapon options. For the heavy, you can bring anything you want. Strand and Void weapons would be a good call here though too if you want. Finally, for the armor mods. On our helmet, we have Dynamo as well as a Siphon mod or two. For our gauntlets, Focusing Strike, Bolstering Detonation, and Grenade Kickstart are what we are running. The chest will have a Charged Up as well as a Resistance or Reserves mod. The boots are going to have a Stacks on Stacks, Better Already, and Absolution. Finally, on the class item, we have 2 Bombers and then a Reaper. Our third and final build here is going to be none other than the Bonk build. If you are unfamiliar with the Bonk build, it uses the exotic arms Synthoceps on the Solar subclass. Synthoceps increase your melee lunge range on top of improving your super and melee damage while you are surrounded. Moving over to the subclass, we are starting with the Hammer of Soul for the super, whichever barricade, obviously the throwing hammer, and then Firebolt nades. For this season, we are only using the Firebolt nades because of the artifact mods, but you could also use solar grenades. The first aspect, Roaring Flames, allows us to increase the damage of our solar abilities by getting solar ability final blows or ignitions up to 3 stacks. Sol Invictus is our second aspect, which allows us to create sunspots from solar ability final blows, Hammer of Soul final blows, and scorched targets being defeated. And while we are standing in those sunspots, we get increased ability regen and slower super draining while also gaining restoration in the sunspot. For the fragments, we have Ember of Mercy to start, so we can get restoration from picking up a fire sprite. Next is the Ember of Solace to increase the duration of radiant and restoration. Third is the Ember of Ashes to apply more scorch stacks to targets. Finally, we have the Ember of Torches, so we can become radiant from powered melee attacks. Now, when it comes to the stat distribution of this build, I would recommend going for Resilience, Discipline, and Recovery. For our artifact mods, pick up Authorized Mods Grenades, Solar Surge, Flare Up, and then Rain of Firebolts so we can utilize the Firebolt grenades to the fullest this season. For weapons to bring along, Fusion Rifles or Trace Rifles are a great call, incandescent weapons as well. The heavy will be up to you. Most weapons aren't the biggest issue with this build since it's all about the hammer. Finally, for our armor mods to accompany the build, the helmet will have 2 hands on. Our gauntlets are going to have an impact deduction, a heavy-handed, as well as a firepower. The chest piece is going to have a charged up and some sort of resistance or reserves mod. Our legs are going to have a stacks on stacks and then 2 solar weapon surges. However, you could just run 3 surges if you want and have the authorized mods solar artifact perk selected. The class item will have 2 bombers and a time dilation. These 3 Titan builds are absolutely vital to me when I'm playing on my Titan, and I truly believe that these should be in every single Titan main's arsenal. They are all incredibly strong in their own way, and some of the most fun builds to use as well. If you enjoyed the video, a like and subscription means a ton to me, and it greatly helps me out. If you want to check out some more of my content, be sure to head on over to both my TikTok and Twitch stream. Both will be linked in the description below. Appreciate you all making it to the end of the video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.